This might be Central Asia's worst train. Traveling the 25 hours from Bishkek to Astana, this Soviet-era train carriage features no air condition, windows that barely open, all while traveling through the sweltering hot Kazakh desert in the middle of the summer. So join me on this trip as I battle with food poisoning on the very basic toilets and make the best out of the 25 hours on board this moving sauna filled to the max. Today's adventure starts from the Bishkek railway station that's conveniently located less than 2 kilometers away from the heart of the city. So I just arrived here on foot. Right, let's inside this magnificent looking green and pink building. Unfortunately, there is a security checkpoint and backscan right behind the main entrance, which I can't show you. But once you're inside, I think you'll agree that this station is pretty amazing looking. I mean, wow, just take a look at these wall decorations as well as the roof. There's also this cool map showcasing the various regions of Kyrgyzstan. The station also features a ticket office in an equally stunning room. However, for our train, tickets can be purchased online, so I had no need to go and queue here today. Right, let's go and check out the platforms. It looks like a train is already parked here, which is probably ours. I mean, this station just keeps being great. The design is even continued in the pavement tiles. It looks like I have just arrived after the train was pulled to the platform, as the shunting locomotive was still sat on the back of the consist. And interestingly, on the front of the train, there are some Russian mail wagons going all the way to the train's final destination, Kazan in Russia. As the locomotive that's gonna pull our train out of Kyrgyzstan is nowhere to be seen, I settled in the shade for a little bit. But soon enough afterwards, in the distance a locomotive appeared. There's no help from technology here, it's still very much a manual guided process to attach the locomotive to the carriage. And that's half of our 2 TE-10B locomotive ready to pull us into Kazakhstan. These locomotives can in theory reach 100 km per hour, at least when the other half of the engine isn't missing. With departure time fast approaching, I think it's about time we board the train. There's a passport and ticket check at the door, and then you can head up the very much not step-free stairs into the carriage. Your bed number is indicated on your ticket, and when booking online, there even is a seat map to select your exact spot, should you wish so. And here's my home for the next 25 hours up towards Astana. Bang on time, at 17:12 our train departs from Bishkek, and we start our 25-hour voyage up towards Astana. Bishkek has 2 railway stations, and it's only a matter of minutes before we make our stop at the second one, which has the creative name Bishkek 1, just to confuse you all. Here we meet with the local train bound for Tokmak, hauled by one of the newer TEP 33A locomotive that the Kyrgyz railway also have in their fleet. I personally much more prefer the bold new livery on the engine rather than the all green carriages. And with the station stops here in Bishkek completed, we are now really on our way, which seems like a great opportunity for me to show you the route map for today's journey. We are on board train number 405 of the Kyrgyz railway, which runs once a week on a Sunday from Bishkek, crossing the border into Kazakhstan before arriving into Lugovoy. From here on, the line is electrified, so our engine is swapped for an electric Kazakh one, and our train will then continue up towards Shu. Here, our train will be combined with train number 113 from Almaty, the largest city here in Kazakhstan, and then continue as a combined train all the way north up towards the nation's capital, Astana, which is as far as I'll be traveling. This is scheduled to take 25 hours 43 minutes to cover 1,285 kilometers, giving the train an average speed of 50 kilometers per hour. But the train's journey isn't even close to being over yet, as after Astana the train continues for another 38 hours before finally arriving at its final destination, Kazan in Russia. It's a slow and uneventful ride up towards the border, but there's plenty of beautiful scenery to look at. The line is mostly single-tracked, so every once in a while we stop to let another train pass. And with the evening fast approaching, I think it's about time I show you the cabin we'll be spending the night in. The door can be locked from the inside only. I have already made up my bunk, but up above on the other bunks you will find the mattresses as well as pillows and some blankets, but we won't be needing this during the summer. You can also control the lights, but it doesn't work during the daytime. And now for one of the things I think are great about Soviet trains. You're able to lift off the bunk and store your luggage under it in this compartment, which feels really safe during the night. But unfortunately there's no power points in here. And the tiny window isn't exactly creating much airflow in these non-climate controlled carriages. But despite the heat, it was shaping up to be a really beautiful evening. And I spent the rest of the journey pretty much just staring at the mountains in the distance till we approached the border around the time of sunset. We approach our last stop in Kyrgyzstan, Kaindi, which is where the exit border formalities for Kyrgyzstan is handled. Everything is done on board. It's a fairly painless but slow process. Have your passport ready for the border officers, as well as your bags ready to be opened, as they usually want to search them. The progress is similar on the Kazakh side, with everything being done on board. And by the time all the formalities were completed, the sun had set, and I decided to settle in for the night. I decided to get up after a pretty terrible night of sleep somewhere in the middle of nowhere in central Kazakhstan. I was joined by 3 other passengers in my cabin in the middle of the night when the train stopped in Shu, which unfortunately made the cabin boiling hot. Temperatures were planned to reach 38 degrees Celsius when I was traveling, but there was luckily one thing I could do to get a little break from the heat. We can cross over to the carriages that was added to our train from Almaty in Shu during the middle of the night. Because they actually have windows large enough to put your head out. A bit further down the train we will also find the even more packed Platzkart wagons. I can't imagine this being particularly comfortable, especially with so many people in one carriage. Another thing that makes this journey not particularly comfortable is that for no part of this train's more than 3-day long voyage is any sort of dining car attached. So your options for food are either packing a lot before you get on board, or you can visit one of the platform stores while the train is stopped at a major station. And it's also nice to stretch your legs after being on a train for so many hours. Our train is now hauled by one of these Chinese-built KZ-4A locomotives from 2004. They are capable of reaching speeds of up to 200 km per hour. The KZ-4A have since been developed into a newer model, the KZ-4AT, seen here arriving going southbound next to our train. With some food acquired and train spotting done here in Kyrgyzstan, now it's time to settle in for the final roughly 4 hours up to Astana. The journey was also not made any better, as I was dealing with food poisoning for the entirety of it. This of course is not the train's fault, but when you see the bathroom, I think you'll agree this was not the most pleasant place. However, soap and toilet paper was kept stocked up for the entire journey, which is not something that can be expected in this part of the world. For the final few hours, I was just looking forward to finally getting off this train. Feeling sick, being soaked in your own sweat, and lacking a proper meal all made this a pretty uncomfortable experience. But hey, I'm willing to endure much, especially when the tickets are cheap. But that's just not the case for this train either. I paid just under 40,000 Kazakh tenge, or about 80 euros for a bed in a shared compartment. With flights on this route being available for just 20 euros more, taking considerably less time, and on board modern Airbus A321neo aircraft, I just can't recommend this train. I took plenty of other night trains in distance, and every single one of them had better carriages, more amenities, and all of them were cheaper to travel on. So yeah, in my opinion, this has to be one of the worst trains in Central Asia, and I can't imagine how some of the people who are doing it all the way from Bishkek to Kazan feel in the end after 3 days on this train. And finally, with a delay of around 2 hours, we are now on the viaduct taking us into Astana's Nurli Sol railway station. If you for some reason still want to travel on this train, tickets can be purchased online and delivered as a PDF on the Kazakh Railways website. Tickets often sell out for the section between Shu and Astana months in advance, so book ahead early to ensure a spot. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this video more than I enjoyed my time on this train. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. I try to upload a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Twitter at IntercitySimon. I usually post live from my travels over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming to the channel in the future. Our train will now get a new engine, ready to haul it all the way up towards the border with Russia for the final part of its journey towards Kazan. I, however, am gonna walk to my hostel now for a much needed shower. Thanks for watching.